WCBI News at 10 starts now.
Mississippi reports its highest single-day number of COVID-19 cases today. Thank you for staying up with us tonight. Health officials say there are 611 new cases in the state. Pontotoc County leads our area with 18, followed by Winston and Lafayette counties with 15. The State Department of Health numbers show an increase in hospitalizations and ICU patients, but a decline of those on ventilators. The state's COVID-19 related death toll now stands at 989. The 18 to 29-year-old age group saw a sharp increase in those confirmed cases. With today's high numbers, state epidemiologist Dr. Dobbs called a press conference to voice his concerns. Dr. Dobbs says after seeing today's cases top 600, he's extremely fearful going into the fall. Dobbs expressed his concerns and frustrations with Mississippians, saying you don't have to shut the whole state down to stop COVID. We can slow it down on our own by following simple steps, by doing our part. He also apologized for the gaps in data that we've seen the past few days. Dobbs says the system from 2009 is not designed for what we're dealing with right now, but luckily they are looking for an upgraded system so this doesn't happen again.
If we do 6 feet of mask in small groups, we basically would see coronavirus start to fade out. But because we lack the patience or discipline to stick with those sorts of things, we're going to see ongoing cases, and I'm really fearful going into the fall that it's going to be an absolute disaster. Very, very concerned. There are no indicators of anything that's going to let up on this for us.
Strong words there coming from Dr. Dobbs. Now, as the State Department of Health reports the highest number of coronavirus cases in the state, medical professionals in North Mississippi are weighing in with some of their concerns. Our Stephanie Poole was in one of the counties with a recent spike. She has more.
Having a record number of cases is worrisome.
Dr. Dustin Gentry is a staff physician at Winston Medical Center in Louisville. He says with the state's reopening, he is concerned that number will continue to grow and eventually affect hospital care.
Nobody in medicine is surprised that we have record numbers right now. The reason is because the guidelines have relaxed. There have been more groups gathering. The biggest concern with increasingly number of positive cases in Mississippi is the ability for a greater number of those positive cases to require hospitalization, ICU placement, and eventually ventilator management.
Winston County EMA Director Buddy King says, before you head outdoors, make sure you have protective gear.
We as a county are providing masks to any citizen who wants to wear a mask. We're not mandating wearing them. We're suggesting they wear them for their protection and everyone else's protection.
He says he and his staff are encouraging the public to remember the guidelines as it could potentially flatten the curve.
Everyone needs to practice hygiene, a greater hygiene than they're used to practicing. They need to limit their travel to necessary trips if possible. And not only what we're doing, we're protecting our healthcare system, we're protecting our elderly and our older population and our individuals who are handicapped with pre-existing conditions. Those are the people in our communities who have the greatest threat.
All of us, are going to have to find a way to live with this virus in the background. And we're going to have to learn what measures we have to take personally to protect ourselves and to protect those that are vulnerable around us.
Reporting in Winston County, Stephanie Poole, WCBI News.
Gentry and King say that they'll continue to monitor the cases in the county, there in Winston County that is, and offer the public assistance as needed.
Good storms earlier today, but in the wake of the storms, we had a great sunset in Louisville, Mississippi. Dark clouds earlier this evening, but a great sunset, and then out of nowhere comes some outflow from some of those storms that moved on through some low clouds. Just giving us a decent sunset there. All right, some nice rainbow pictures. Look at this one right here. Very vibrant. We had some great color out there spotted in the region. There's a double rainbow, too. Hopefully you found the pot of gold. No rain out there right now. We do have some cloud cover. and still the opportunity for a stray shower or storm later tonight. Here's our first alert forecast helping us out tonight. We've got Penny looking for more storms, eh? Yeah, we've got that in the forecast for tomorrow. Not so much early, can't rule it out early, but a better chance for some of these scattered showers and storms, much like today. During the heating of the day, we're back into the mid-80s. Some of these storms could be locally heavy. Our temperatures will go up as we approach the weekend. Rain chances go down a little bit. We'll show you that in the 7-day coming up.
All right, Keith, thank you so much. Well, sources tell WCBI that Mississippi legislative leaders want to vote, that is, on the future of the state's flag by Friday, which is the end of the session. Negotiations are continuing, but the votes in the House of Representatives aren't there just yet to suspend the rules to allow for a vote. Meanwhile, from the pulpit to the checkout line to the classroom, the calls to change the embattled banner are growing louder. Courtney Ann Jackson has the very latest from the Capitol.
The Mississippi Baptist Convention has never taken a collective stand against the state flag until now.
We believe it is a gospel issue, and we want to stand up for what we perceive to be the leadership of God in this moment and in this matter.
In 2016, the Southern Baptist Convention overwhelmingly passed a resolution encouraging members to not publicly fly the Confederate battle flag. But Tuesday was the first time the Mississippi Baptist leaders have come together to denounce the Mississippi flag.
Somewhat out of all of our comfort zone to speak to this issue, but the time is now. To make a difference in the world that is called Mississippi, that will impact the entire nation as they watch what we're doing.
And if there's anything that is causing people to feel an offense to the preaching of the gospel, even if it be our state flag, then it is time for a change.
The Baptist building sits just a stone's throw from the state capitol, where members of the Legislative Black Caucus applauded the group and others for joining in on the call to take down the current flag.
It's time for us to rise above our history of racism and separatism to exemplify unity and equality.
The legislative session is winding down, but members say the work is being done.
Taking up something that takes 2/3 of the legislature, you count those votes and make sure you have that. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing at this time. But we're ready. We're letting the majority caucus do what they have to do to get the people they need, because they know this needs to be done.
Neither of the groups endorsed a replacement, but rather placed focus on taking down the current flag. Courtney Ann Jackson, WCBI News.
This afternoon, Walmart announced it will no longer display the flag in its stores. There will be no charges in the case of a noose found in a garage at Talladega used by NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace. Evidence suggests that it was there well before this weekend's race, and it was not placed there to threaten Wallace. CBS's Jerika Duncan has the very latest.
Rallied around Bubba Wallace.
One day after NASCAR rallied around Bubba Wallace, the FBI concluded the incident was not a hate crime. The FBI said the noose hanging in Wallace's garage had been there since October 2019, and that no one was aware Wallace would be assigned to that garage station. The noose was discovered on the same day NASCAR enforced a new ban on the Confederate flag at its events.
And here's Bubba Wallace.
Wallace, NASCAR's only African-American driver in its top series, has been pushing for cultural change. He recently outfitted his race car with a dedication to the Black Lives Matter movement. After the race Monday, Wallace stood in defiance of what he thought was a hate crime.
The sport is changing. The deal that happened yesterday, sorry I'm not wearing my mask, but I wanted to show whoever it was that you're not going to take away my smile.
Jerika Duncan, CBS News, New York.
Bond is set at $1 million for an Oktibbeha County capital murder suspect. Matthew Graves had his preliminary hearing today. The 27-year-old Brandon man was charged earlier this month. For the underlying crime in the case is arson. 60-year-old Joyce Bostic was found dead at her Sykes Road home back on May 13th. Deputies were originally called to the house to check on Bostic. The home, investigators say, was partially burned inside. A Calhoun City man is in jail charged with breaking in and vandalizing Bruce High School. Melvin DeMario Gibson is charged with felony malicious mischief, over $10,000, and burglary of a school. These photos show some of the damage that officers discovered. Now, Bruce Police Chief Tony Sockwell says that video from a security camera showed the suspect damaging supplies and other items inside the school over a 4-hour period. Chief Sockwell says information and evidence led them to Gibson, who was out on probation from the MDOC. He's being held at the Calhoun County Jail. Bond for the burglary and vandalism charges was set at $10,000. All right, we're going to send things back over to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson. Keith, another summer storm
topsy-turvy kind of day.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good analogy.
Some sun, some storm, some heat. Quick update on that Saharan dust. We're still watching that across the Caribbean Sea. All of that bright white you see right there, that's the dust. And it looks like this will be pivoting back into the southeast by Friday morning here. For us, again, some hazy days, some colorful sunrises and sunsets starting Friday. I'm back with your 7-day forecast next.
Forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Batches of summer storms 3 days in a row. On the back side of it, though, in Columbus, a great sunset this evening. There you go. There goes the sun. Some vibrant color out there. Picture perfect if you were out and about, maybe soaking up some of that color. That was a view in Starkville earlier. Look at this. Up in Fulton, not too bad at all with some of that color. And in Clay County, very patriotic there. Red, white, blue, and the flag right there. Not too bad at all here, as we are approaching 4th of July in a couple of weeks. Some rainbows spotted too. Can't forget about that. Not too bad. I think that was over in West Alabama and Lamar County. And a double rainbow in Noxubee County right there. Always great to see the pictures after these big storm events. Now, right now the region is quiet, our area specifically, and the storms down to our south falling apart. But we can't rule out an isolated shower or thunder shower yet as we go throughout the rest of the night into tomorrow morning. But by and large, we don't really expect a lot of activity here as we go throughout the course of the night. We'll just keep it in the forecast just to hedge the bet. Upper 60s to around 70. That's about where we are right now. And for tomorrow, a slight chance for a rain early, but a better opportunity, much like today, from late morning through the afternoon into the early evening. Temperatures will be somewhere in the mid 80s. We just say somewhere because it's really dependent on where the storms happen to form. When they form will determine really how high we actually get. Today we were flirting with 90. Some of those storms a bit delayed in some spots, but tomorrow probably more in the way of mid 80s. Early on, as I mentioned, can't rule out an isolated shower or thunder shower, but there you go. By the heating of the day, by late morning into the afternoon, once it gets going, we'll have clusters of storms around the region, it would appear. As we get into tomorrow evening, that will tend to ebb just a little bit, and then we'll see a continuing chance for some showers and storms into our Thursday too. Elevated opportunities for the next 2 days here, and then we'll just dwindle those chances down a little bit as we approach the weekend and get into early next week. Rainfall potential here, we are looking at anywhere from maybe a trace to several inches of rain. It all depends on where these storms happen to form. So we mentioned the front. There it is. That front is just meandering through the region along with a weak area of low pressure that will swing out of Texas. Now, that's the next 2 days, and then after that, we'll start to see our standard summer fare again, which means just pop-up showers and storms during the heating of the day. Temperatures get back up to around 90 for the weekend. Rain chances lower to about 30%.
It's been a busy couple of weeks for the canine officer and Bruce and his four-legged partner. We'll have that story coming up on WCBI News.
You're watching WCBI News at 10 with Scott Martin.
Welcome back, everyone. An officer at the Bruce Police Department is helping take a bite out of crime with the assistance of his partner. Allie Martin looks at the impact the crime-fighting team is having in the area.
When Bruce Police Officer Thomas Sosa came back from deployment with the National Guard, he took over as the canine officer, and it's been busy ever since. Canine Officer Thomas Sosa is demonstrating how he and his partner Ero work together. Bruce Police Chief Tony Sockwell has hidden 3 items of contraband throughout several rooms. Ero and Officer Sosa find all 3. Where's it at? In recent weeks, Officer Sosa and Ero have taken an assortment of drugs, paraphernalia, and a weapon off the streets.
License checkpoints and traffic stops. We usually get the dog and run the dog around the car, and he'll indicate if there's any drugs in the car, and then we can use the dog and get in the car and search for drugs, and if they're there, he'll find them.
Officer Sosa is a member of the Mississippi Army National Guard. He worked with the Bruce Police Department for 3 years before he was deployed with the 155th. When he returned, he took the K-9 position. He has been working with ERO for nearly 2 years now.
If I would go out there, I can have probable causes and stuff like that to search the vehicle. In the instance, you know, like if they're not giving me permission, well, I can run him around that vehicle. If he indicates on that vehicle, then I have it. Because, of course, his nose is 10 times stouter than ours are, so he can smell an odor that I can't smell.
K9 is a real good tool for narcotics. We couldn't do half of what we do if we didn't have one.
Officer Sosa and ERO train at least once a week. Those sessions can take all day. It's a lot of work, but it's necessary so the crime-fighting duo can keep their skills sharp and protect the community. In Bruce, Allie Martin, WCBI News.
The Weyerhaeuser Lumber Company helped the Bruce Department purchase ERO. I like that name for him, too. All right, a familiar face returns to coaching football in Northeast Mississippi. That story coming up next in sports.
WCBI Sports with Courtney Robb.
It was no surprise when legendary head coach MC Miller ended his retirement quickly to return to the gridiron. Now Miller is back coaching again in Northeast Mississippi. The former Louisville head coach takes over as the defensive coordinator at West Lowndes. Miller joins the Panthers after spending the 2019 season serving as the DC at Newton High School. Miller says the retirement life simply just wasn't for him.
Well, you know, when you retire, you get bored. You get bored of standing around home and doing nothing. You want something else to do. And I knew Coach King and everything, and he had talked to me about it last year. And I told him we might work something out this year, so he talked to me, and here I am up here in West Lowndes.
It's very big because Coach Miller, he won 6 state championships, so we want to bring him here so he can kind of help us get over the hump. So his you know, you get a legendary coach like Coach Miller come in, you know, the guys are pumped up.
We continue our high school football tour with a look at the Noxapater Tigers. A new era is underway in Noxapater, the Roy Rigsby era. In his first season as head coach of the Tigers, Rigsby leads the Tigers to battle in one of the toughest regions in the state. Noxapater is stop number 2 on our high school football tour.
WCBI Sports 2020 High School Football Tour is brought to you by Itawamba Community College, Cannon Ford of Starkville, Monroe County Farm Bureau, Max South Broadband, and the Bank of Vernon.
Hey, D-Block, we still here, baby. Hey, everything good. We still here.
The Noxapater Tigers enter the 2020 season looking to build off of last year's success, but they will be doing so under new leadership. Former Natchez head coach Roy Rigsby now takes the reins of a program that has an established culture that he's looking to take up another level.
What I'm trying to do is to continue to grow that culture, you know what I'm saying, to take off from where Orr put in and continue to build from there. And the kids been very receptive of it, you know, teach a great mentality and teach them exactly how we're going to play football.
His energy he has at practice, he gets everybody going, and he always lifts everybody up when they're down.
A plus for Rigsby is that Noxapater returns one of the most dynamic playmakers in the state, K.D. Carter, who rushed for over 2,000 yards and hauled in 33 total touchdowns.
He's pretty important. He's usually the one that gets us going, too. Somebody messes up, he gets on them, and he just helps everybody click and get the plays rolling.
He's a dynamic player. He got explosiveness. He plays with the right attitude, right kind of mindset. I believe that when you got a mobile quarterback or an explosive mobile quarterback, it always strengthens your offense. So as far as the schemes and dynamic, that's always been great. You know, but I think we're going to surprise some people. We got some young kids that's pretty good.
Rigsby says the young guys are putting in the work to be ready for the Friday night lights.
From last week to this week, they continue to improve, they continue to get better, and that's all I ask. I tell them all the time, I say, well, progress is mandatory. You know what I'm saying? You know, it doesn't matter where you are, improve. As long as you improve, you'll never have a problem with me, and they're doing that.
With steady improvement and constant hard work, the Tigers look to be a force to reckon with come August.
Hey, keep watching on us. Hey, keep watching. You'll see. Just keep watching.
Reporting in Noxapater, Chris Bolton, WCBI Sports.
WCBI Sports 2020 High School Football Tour with Noxapater is sponsored by Winston Plywood and Veneer.
That's it for sports. We'll have more for you when we come back. Stay with us.
All right, we're looking at a chance for some scattered showers and storms for tomorrow. We are in the 80s, same story on Thursday, too. We'll have a better chance for some warmer temperatures by the weekend. Rain chances going down just a little bit here, Scott. We've had some topsy-turvy days recently, Scott, as we've been talking about some of those powerful storms.
Is that why you're trying to duck out a little early?
I just saunter back on into the camera before nobody even knows.
We're all trying to go home right now, aren't we?
Getting late.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.